If balancing work, life, and art seems impossible, I've been there too. About a year ago, I felt stretched so thin between my full-time job, my daily tasks, and my art practice that I barely touched my art supplies. I practically wanted to give up on art. But then I slowly realized that if I wanted to make art a part of my life, I had to make a change. I knew that I had to change my approach. So today, I want to share some tips on how you can build a daily art habit if you're a busy person like me. I started by making art a micro habit. So I'll tell you what I mean by that. I love art and I literally can make art all day, but I realized that if I wanted to make art a daily part of my life, I needed to do away with all the resistance, right? And time was a real blockage for me with building art as a daily habit into my life. So I had to break my art practice down into bite-sized bits. I started by setting a timer. I would dedicate 5 minutes a day. I would literally sit down and say, today in 5 minutes, I'm going to make some art. And trust me, some of the art that I made wasn't the best, but I think changing my mind frame and approaching my art practice as a micro habit helped me to show up more consistently, helped me to reframe my mindset into that great art sometimes can be made in these small moments. Building art as a micro habit to start out really just got my gears going and got me going in a new direction with integrating art into my daily life. So start by making art a micro habit, and I think that will really get your engine going and really get you thinking about art in a new way. Even though I was making art a micro habit and breaking it down into small increments, I realized there was something still missing and I needed to change something else in my routine to integrate art into my daily life. So here's what I did next. I began to sketch as a part of my nightly routine. I realized that in order to integrate art more seamlessly into my everyday life, I needed to attach it to a routine that I was already doing. And for me, that was my nighttime skincare routine. So instead of doing all of these steps to, wind down at the end of the day and do my nightly skincare, I decided to integrate art into that routine and make it more of like a soul care routine, if you know what I mean. So attaching art to an existing routine for you can look like if you love to get up early and enjoy your morning cup of coffee. Maybe you can also sit down with your sketchbook and your art supplies and build that into your routine. If there are other things that you do routinely during your day, try to attach art to that routine so that way you can seamlessly integrate it in a more natural way in your everyday life. But there was still something missing. Even though I was breaking my art down into a micro habit, even though I was integrating it into part of my everyday life, sometimes I just felt so distracted and pulled in so many different directions until I realized that I had to change this one thing. The key to making art a daily habit in your life is to make it, one, more attainable and also to make it more sustainable. So I realized that I needed to make my art tools more accessible to me. So I did a few things. I started to keep a small set of art supplies on my bedside table. A huge thing that I did that changed my art practice is to start a sketchbook practice. I talk about my sketchbook so much on this channel because I really think that having a sketchbook practice will change the way that you view your art. For me, it was sort of like carrying a small art studio with me everywhere I went. I'm a busy person. I work full time. I'm a mom. I'm on the go a lot. So having my tools available to me, like in my bag, it just changed the way that I looked at my art. Also, I realized that art can be made with the simplest of tools. Making your art practice more sustainable and attainable is making your art tools accessible to you. So if that looks like keeping your art supplies on your kitchen table, on your bedside table, setting up an art station, building out your art supplies on a rolling cart and keeping that with you in your home. I don't know about you, but I love being around art supplies. So when I see my art supplies, it sort of triggers my brain and it gets me excited to make art. So making your art tools more accessible to you visually keeping them with you, keeping them within your view will just trigger your brain and get you excited and, get you in the mood to make art. So think about the ways that you live your life and how you can make your art tools more accessible to you. I was on my way. I was making art more consistently. I was happy. I was building it into a part of my everyday routine. But, I still had a lot of doubts. I still had a lot of doubts on whether I was being the artist that I wanted to be. So I knew I had to change this one last thing. I began to shift into an artist mindset. If you've seen my videos on how to think like an artist and also how to improve your art practice by having the right artist mindset, I'll link those videos for you in the description box. I talk about mindset because I know everything starts from mindset. Art is no different. I realized I had to let go of a few limiting beliefs that I had. One of the big ones for me was perfection. I had to allow myself the gift of imperfection. And let me tell you why I think imperfection is a gift. Because I think some of the best art is made when you see little imperfect marks, when you see the gift of our humanity in our art. I think making perfect art is boring. I think, having imperfect marks, making mistakes, learning from your mistakes, seeing those things in other artists' work just brings the humanness, the humanity into the art practice. And I think that's just what makes art beautiful, is that human connection of seeing something handmade and of feeling the soul of the artist, feeling the perspective of the artist. And I don't know about you, but I'm not perfect. If I'm not perfect, I'm going to make imperfect art. Great art is not perfect art. Great art is human art. So shifting my mindset more into an artist mindset really helped me to build my art practice more consistently, helped me to let go a lot of limiting beliefs. And I think integrating that mindset shift into all the other tips that I shared with you today will really help to build your artistic practice more seamlessly into your everyday life. Because I know if you're here, you love art just as much as I do, and you want to integrate art more into your everyday life. So I really hope these tips helped you. I also wrote a blog post on this topic. I'm going to link that for you in the description below, and I'll see you next time. Bye.